and welcome to another podcast episode of High Voltage. I just love doing that. I am your host, MacKenzie Nelson, and I am so thrilled and excited to have you joining me today. It is my hope that this show will help you live your life fully charged and engaged on all levels. We want to live and focus on the present moment because this is the moment right now where everything is happening. This is the moment God meets us in. This is the moment that we have the opportunity to make into a fantastic memory. You know, when you ruin the present moment, it's like you ruin it twice if you really think about it. Because when you look back on it as a memory, it's ruined then too. So I say, why not live for the moment, live for the now, prepare for the future, but make your moments count, make them twice as worthy. So when you look back at it, you're like, yeah, I did that. It was amazing. And I brought the best positive attitude I could to the space. And I gave everything I could to God and I gave it 100%. And I'm proud of how I handled it. And this is my mantra. This is how I choose to live my life fully engaged. And I'm charged and I'm ready. I'm ready for the opportunities that come my way, ready for the people I'm going to meet, the places I go. And I'm just ready to grab on to the experiences that come to me. I'm ready and waiting with my yes. I like to focus on the present in a place of yes, yes, yes. Say yes. If you're a no person, change it up. Try saying yes every now and then write me and tell me how it changed your life. I'm telling you, it will. Today's topic is one that is near and dear to my heart. It is something that I've thought about in depth ever since I was a little girl. It's religion versus spirituality. And it's about breaking down walls and connecting people. So this episode is all about, how can we get religiousness and spirituality connected and break down anything that is interfering or standing in the middle of the walls between the two groups relationally and specifically in terms of the Christian faith. So, a lot of the things I want to talk to you about pertain to me specifically, and I try to stay in the space of examining my own experiences and speaking from my own perspective, because while I realize I have a perspective and a certain set of experiences. Not everyone, no one else has lived this but me. And I think that is the unique opportunity the present moment presents us with. So if you are feeling this little nudge as you listen to me to suddenly start writing, I have a 3 pages a day program that I'm going to be rolling out with my book, My Father's Feathers, a journey of transformation and healing one feather at a time on September 20th. The launch date is quickly approaching. It'll be available in Kindle format for 24 to 48 hours for $1.99. But you don't need a Kindle. You can just watch it on, you can read it on your iPhone. You don't need the actual Kindle, but for you that like the book format, you like to hold, a lot of people are like, I'm waiting for the book. And I get it because I do the same thing sometimes. But since I'm launching books for RHG now, I make sure and download when I get the opportunity for $1.99. That's a whole book. It's such a good deal. You can get a whole library of them. Very helpful and encouraging books this community is putting out nearly every day. So I encourage you to take advantage of a lot of these deals. You probably see me posting about them for other people too. So back to our topic, religion versus spirituality, breaking down walls and connecting people. Ever since I was little, ever since I was in the Pentecostal church system as a small child, I heard this voice in the back of my mind. What's this about? What am I doing here? What is this? And it showed my parents the questions that I was having, that I wasn't able to really verbalize. I'm like, since I was born till I was, a teenager, I started playing basketball when I was in 3rd grade, and I got really, really good. It was actually all state basketball player by my senior year. And so we took that time that I was spending in the church community and transitioned it over to the sports complex where I was hooping it up. I was, having a great time playing. However, I was actually really relieved to be removed from the Pentecostal church system by that point because I had seen so much religiousness within that church, within that community, amongst peers of my own age, as well as adults too. And so, really, being a member of this church kind of diminished my capacity to want to connect with God on a lot of levels. It did the opposite. Church did not bring me closer. Oh, my cat. No, no, kitty. Sorry. I don't want the kitty to go up in flames. He likes the candles, though. That's Sterling, everyone. I think he just wanted to say hello. So basically, during my time at church, I didn't understand a lot of what was going on as a kid, that it was people speaking in tongues in the ceremony. There was just a lot of chaos going on. And I never either didn't do a good job of expressing my confusion to my parents, or, they just weren't explaining things to me, whatever it was. I really wasn't getting the information that I felt I needed to get to understand like the whole machine behind like the church system as a whole and what was going on. And so it's always fascinated me the older I've gotten, thinking in terms of the church system and how it is best serving, and how does someone who doesn't believe in God at all infiltrate the system, or how do they find what the best system is? Are they going to go to a Baptist church, a Lutheran church, a Catholic church, a Pentecostal church? There are so many different branches of Christianity. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm not even 100% sure what all the different branches stand for or what they mean. So to me, a lot of what I experienced in the Pentecostal church system was heavily, heavily a big no-no in this particular branch was no alcohol, never, ever, under any circumstances. That was one big thing I remember being preached over and over again from the pulpit. I was terrified of alcohol. I was like, oh, if you touch that, you're going to be pretty bad off. Like that stuff's evil. And so my parents never drank. By the time I got old enough to consume alcohol, I had horrible guilt about it. It was like, oh, like my friends were drinking, and I was like, I'm a bad person. If I drink alcohol, that makes me bad. I can't do this. Like, this is, against how I was brought up. And it was this huge place of shame for me. But what I've come to understand and come to realize through in-depth prayer and seeking and searching, a lot of the scriptures I was given, to back up why you shouldn't drink alcohol as a Christian. One was Jesus says, be sober minded. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it means alcohol. But as I've gotten older and prayed into it, I've come to understand, I believe that what Jesus is speaking about isn't concerning a physical aspect. Sure, he doesn't want us, to develop alcoholism or, drug addiction problems, but in moderation. I believe he's speaking here about spiritual sobriety. So when you think about Jesus, what he's always talking about are matters of the heart. And I feel like religion always wants to put Jesus in that physical category, in that category of like, it's about us and what we do, it's about drinking or something we can control. Religion is always looking to control, seeking to control and ownership, where spirituality is something where someone they're surrendering to a higher power and they're being led through a process, but in trust and love by the Holy Spirit. And I really believe that what he's talking about here is about spiritual sobriety. Now, I haven't really ever heard anyone speak on this. It's something I felt, downloaded into me. Spiritual sobriety. I was like, what? What is spiritual sobriety? Well, through a practice of forgiveness, which I spoke about in my last episode, you can keep your heart clean. You can keep forgiving people. So you're accessing those higher level joy, love, peace. all of the things that we all want to encompass and fully live in. But when we are limited by, I like to call it low hanging fruit, which is things like jealousy and contempt and revenge and, all of these uglier aspects where you can just simmer and sit for years, you're actually spiritually drunk when you are not practicing forgiveness, when you are not open to all that God has to give you, that He wants to give you. You're actually blocking that. Your heart is hardened, meaning, when you practice forgiveness, when you love others, when you have mercy and compassion and extend that to people, you are being blessed and you are getting all of God's best, and there's nothing blocking that. It's just it's coming. You're fluid here and there constantly, but that happens meeting Him every day in that present moment and being made aware of your imperfections and where you are struggling, and guiding and allowing Him to guide you in that, and trusting that He will help you know how to walk out your life so that you can live fully charged and engaged. But if you're spiritually drunk on things like you're not going to forgive someone who offended you 20 years ago because they don't deserve it, or you're going to hold that bitterness against your ex-husband because he deserves it. You're just going to take that out on the next guy you're with. You're just going to take that out on your friend. It has to go somewhere. And it goes outward at people you don't even want it to go towards. And so what he's talking about is when you're spiritually drunk, you're not making cognitive decisions about how you are treating other people. You're blind in this spiritual drunkenness. It makes you blind to yourself and blind to your actions, blind to how you're hurting others. It's always someone else's fault. Perhaps you know a person of who I am talking about, and it makes them bitter and mean and hateful. And that's all because they are practicing spiritual drunkenness when they could be living in spiritual sobriety. So I believe, if the religious people of the world could meet the spiritual people of the world and could come to terms in understanding that the way that Jesus is speaking and what He's meaning and talking about are not these limiting actions like no alcohol, none of these other things. He's actually talking about matters of the heart, not about what we're, doing. But really, Jesus talks more about this in the Bible when He talks about it's not what you put into your mouth that contaminates you, it's what comes out of the heart. So it's your intentions that are contaminating your life. It is what you're thinking about why you're doing what you're doing. And Jesus also says, watch yourselves carefully so you don't get contaminated with Pharisee yeast. The Pharisees were this group of very religious people during Jesus's time on the earth. And everything they did was about how they did it, the specific order they did it in, and, wash your hands 5 million times and then touch the bowl 3 times. And then they were all about these traditions and about how this is going to get them closer to God. And Jesus was constantly like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's not even what it's about. It's about a relationship. It's a one-on-one relationship. It's not about what you can do. It's not about your time spent in a building, although that can enhance your faith if that's what you're choosing to do. It's about how you live your life as a whole. What are you doing outside of that building? What are you doing in your community? What are your intentions for what you're doing in the community? Is it really because you want to honor God and you He's always there, and you want to hear, well done, good and faithful servant? Or is it because, you want people to think, dang it, Becky, she's a good person. She's doing all these things. And that's your heart. Like, I have to do this. I have to go to church. I have to keep up appearances. It's just good to take a second right now to think about some of the activities you're engaging in your daily life and what your intent is behind doing what you're doing. This is something I practice myself. And if it's not bringing me joy and it's not fully for God and to honor other people, I check myself and I'm like, you know what? that's probably not a great use of my time or something that I want to say yes to the next time. I'm also very cognitive of how I feel after being around a certain group of people or after meeting someone. I reassess and I come into the present moment. I'm like, how do I feel after this interaction? Is this really a space I want to continue, to return to on a constant basis? So I really just believe that the key to breaking down walls between religion and spirituality is the same thing it's always been: love, love, one word, love. If we could look at each person that we are to interact with for the rest of this weekend with love and connectedness and understanding that whatever they're doing, whether you agree or disagree, they are a person that deserves love, and asking God, how can I show love to this person? How am I being called to show love? Love is the only thing that can break down the walls between the religious people and the spiritual people and connect us all. And I do believe and pray and hope that that day is coming where we can all be connected and united in love. Well, I hope today has brought you something to think about. I know I'm still thinking about it, and I'll probably do a lot more episodes on this topic because, like I said, it's something I'm exploring. I'm like a pioneer, and there's wide open fields. And I know God is not a God of a box. He doesn't live in a tiny little place that we put him in. He's everywhere. And I am so thankful for that and so excited to continue to explore that with you and on this podcast show. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great weekend. And don't forget, please hit that subscribe button for me. Do me a favor. I'm really trying to spread the word and help people. And anything you could do to share this episode if you feel led or comment is so appreciated, guys. Thank you so much. And again, hit me up on my website, MacKenzieKNelson.com. We can connect for 30 minutes for free, and we can talk about anything that's on your heart that you feel led to share. And I hope we connect again soon. Thanks again, guys.